There's something I've been itching to talk about. I got a promotion at work. That's not what has me excited, though. Something really cool has been happening since we returned to school after winter break, and it has to do with data. Academic data in school suspension is notoriously difficult to track. All we have are wide studies that tell us any type of suspension, OSS or ISS, strongly correlates with a decrease in academic achievement, none of which surprises me. As someone who has run an ISS program for the last 7 years, who studies exclusionary discipline, and has written articles and a book on the subject, I know that most ISS programs are just a room where children go to do time, a total loss of instruction for every day of placement. I've also spent a lot of time talking about how it doesn't have to be that way. So back to this promotion, I'm no longer a teacher. I am now an instructional specialist. Since winter break, I've been assigned to a Title I campus. There are a lot of instructional specialists in the district where I work, but there's only one like me. I'm an instructional specialist who lives in ISS, providing academic support to students, our most at-risk students. I still see myself as an ISS teacher. I have more students now, but I also have more help, which allows me to focus on academic intervention. Okay, so here's what I'm excited to talk about today. My new school collects data in real time. What I mean by that is when we give a test, by the next day, there's a spreadsheet with every student's score broken down by skill, and the teachers are discussing in their PLC how they're going to make adjustments based on the data. These teachers are ultra professional. They're looking for weaknesses and what needs to be retaught, reviewed, but they're also comparing scores with the last unit test and the last benchmark or standardized test. Now, here's where it gets interesting. After 3 weeks, we had a unit test in math. Okay, I've only been on campus for 3 weeks at this point. We were able to pull data for the students who were in ISS 1 or more days for the 3 weeks leading up to the test. Out of more than 30 students, there was almost no regression in learning despite time spent in ISS, which is unheard of. 4 of them scored their highest test grade of the year so far. Only 2 students showed any regression, and when we looked closer, we saw they had already been on a downward trend before their ISS placement. Of course, the first thing I did was ask myself what I could have done differently for those 2 students, but this is still positive, actionable data, and I'll tell you why. The support those 2 students received wasn't radically different from everyone else in the group, so this points to something else going on for these kids. Possibly something outside of school that's impacting learning. Could be any number of things, right? So we involved our campus family liaison. Thank you, title funding, that we even have such a position. They reached out to the families to check in, see if everything was okay, and offer support where possible. I don't know what happened past that, but I hear one of the students is already more engaged in class than previously. We were able to do a lot in just 3 weeks. It'll be interesting to see how this impacts the rest of the year. Like any good instructional specialist, I will be actively monitoring. I have a lot of thoughts about all of this, not just about exclusionary discipline, but about data and how we use it, about the possibilities when schools have funding for positions like mine. But what I want to leave you with is this. There are a lot of voices saying a lot of negative things about public education. The timing of this could not be more misguided. Public education has been evolving for generations. We find what works and what doesn't work to support learning. We continue to push forward. The models for really successful schools already exist, and those practices are being shared, even for things like in-school suspension. Public education has its challenges, but we are meeting those challenges when and where we can, despite all the noise. Today, I feel privileged to be a part of that.